I think the problems that we were talking about in 1992 are still there, absolutely. Closeted coaches, athletes being kicked off teams, negative recruiting, they're all still there. There's no question about that. But I think that we've sort of like extended the experience of lesbian coaches and athletes. I think there's and gay athletes, gay men athletes and coaches. Those things are still happening, but there are also more success stories. If I was going to write Strong Women in Deep Closets again, I would be able to tell you a lot more success stories than I could have told in the mid-90s when I wrote that book. And that's what gives me hope. And when I go now and do workshops with coaches and athletes at individual institutions, it used to be, when I would go, it was not quite as bad as I felt at Penn State, but the climate was still not comfortable. And my job was to convince coaches that this was a topic they ought to pay attention to. Now, when I work with colleges, that's not my task anymore. Coaches understand that this is a topic they need to pay attention to. They're much more interested in what happens if this happens, what do I do then? And it's much more of a problem-solving session than it is a persuasion session, as it used to be. And I see that as huge progress. Coaches are aware that not only do they have gay, lesbian, and bisexual athletes in their programs, they are aware that it's part of their professional responsibilities to address those issues in ways that are fair and respectful for everyone. So I base a lot of my optimism on that. I see changes. I see student athletes, when I go and talk with them, there are a lot more student athletes who are open with their teammates and their coaches, and things are just fine. They're not being discriminated against or harassed. As I said, there are places where that is happening, obviously, but I see more places where things are moving forward, athletes can be out if they choose to, and everybody's just fine. So to me, it's a matter of focusing on the possibilities rather than only focusing on the horrible things. I think that's what gives me hope, is that I do see change, not only in individual athletic situations, but it's a tremendous change for the NCAA to be sponsoring diversity trainings on sexual orientation, which they do, to see them participate in a negative recruiting think tank, to be interested in trying to do a survey of athletic department climates across a number of issues of diversity. That we have NCLR as the sports project as a legal resource, that It Takes a Team is out there providing educational resources. There are a number of ways in which I think that we have made progress. It's just that this is a long-term battle, and homophobia is deeply entrenched, not only in athletics, but in our larger culture. And it seems like for every step forward, there's a pushback. And maybe that's also a sign of our progress. I don't think any social justice movement ever moved smoothly forward. You make a little progress, and you get a pushback. There's backlash, and I don't think change in athletics is going to be any different.